Do you know where your time goes? How should solopreneurs like you use time tracking in your business? And what's the best time tracking software? We are going to get into all of that in this video. You can get time tracking tutorials all over the internet. What's different about this video is that I am showing you the specific solopreneur method for using time tracking. We will also get into how to organize your systems to make the best use of time tracking as a solopreneur. I'm even going to share my screen and walk you through how some of this works today. These are best practices for solopreneur time tracking specifically. You will not find this anywhere else. Now let's dive in. Why should you use time tracking as a solopreneur? There are 5 main reasons. Number 1, helps you to stay on track when you're on the clock. This is built-in accountability. So when that timer is on, you are working. You are focused on working. And I find that it works really well for myself and for my clients to actually have the time tracking window open on your computer at all times so that you can see the clock there. It really helps to make sure that you are focused on working when the clock is running and that you are pressing pause and going away doing other things when the timer is not on. It helps to differentiate between work time versus non-work time. Number 2, it helps you to understand where your time is really going. You might think you know where your time is going, but you won't actually know until you do time tracking. My clients are consistently really surprised to discover just where some of their time is actually going when they use time tracking for everything in their business. So I strongly recommend that. Number 3, it helps you to know exactly how long it takes you to do every single type of task in your business. This makes it 10 times easier for you to accurately estimate how long it's going to take you to do tasks in the future, so you can give yourself a correct amount of time to complete different tasks. This is very important, especially if you're the type of person who's also often scrambling to meet deadlines, and if you never really actually know how long a particular task takes. So if you often think that a task takes a certain length of time and you're consistently off about that, if you don't quite get your estimates right, then you'll definitely want to be able to use time tracking because that's just going to help you get such a better, accurate estimate in all future tasks. Number 4, it enables you to more clearly differentiate between time versus energy. For example, even if you think this task only takes me 30 minutes to do, and that's true that it actually only takes you 30 minutes to do, if you need a lot of mental preparation up front, and if you need a lot of recovery time after doing that particular task, then it might turn into something like a 2-hour task because you need that preparation time, that mental preparation time, and that recovery time after the fact. So you need to be able to factor those types of things in if a task requires a lot of energy from you. Number 5, it enables you to adjust your existing schedule to better suit your energy needs and your most productive times of the day and days of the week. For example, when you are looking at your time tracking, when you are reviewing it after the fact, you might discover that you always need a break at an unexpected time of day that you didn't even realize, or that you might get distracted by one project versus another at different days of the week. That is really good information to have. And as a result of having that information, you can then adjust your schedule to accommodate for those types of things and actually build that in to your schedule and to your calendar. Now that you know why time tracking is so beneficial for you as a solopreneur, here are my top 3 best practices for using time tracking. Number 1, use time tracking for everything, not just billable hours. This is one of the big things that happens when clients come to me is that they are already time tracking for their client work, for their billable hours, but that is all that they are using time tracking for. And we get really good information when you start time tracking for everything, because then you have a very good understanding, again, of where your time is going in your business. When you are not actively working on client work, you can then understand, here is where my time is going. I'm spending this much time on these different tasks within my business. You get a much clearer picture of where all of that is happening. Best practice number 2, approach this all from a judgment-free perspective. This is about gathering information and understanding yourself better. So don't feel bad about what you discover. If you find that you are not using your time as well as you thought you were, that's okay. This means that there's simply room for improvement. This means that you can use that information to change things and adjust things, but you will not know that until you have done this piece, this time tracking piece. This is also not about perfectionism or micromanaging, which is very important to keep in mind. So it can be tempting when you are time tracking to continue working for longer than you might normally, because now you are seeing exactly how long you're working. And you might feel some guilt or shame coming up if you are not working as many hours as you thought that you were. So you'll definitely want to have all of that in mind and ensure that you are well supported to working through those types of things and dealing with those types of things. This is one of the things that I help my clients with, and it is one of the things that you also get support on inside my Productivity Powerhouse e-course, which is designed especially for solopreneurs like you who want to get your time and energy back and ensure that you are building a true lifestyle business. So it is perfect for you if you are a new solopreneur, or if you've been a solopreneur for well over a decade and you are very established in your industry. It's going to help you to get your time back and to ensure that you have all the mindset pieces in place so that you are not judging yourself, you're not feeling a lot of shame or guilt, you're not micromanaging, you're working through those feelings of perfectionism, all of that type of thing. So if that sounds good to you, then definitely join Productivity Powerhouse at saganmorrow.com/powerhouse. Link is in the show notes. Best practice number 3 for doing time tracking as a solopreneur: make sure to set aside time for analyzing the data that you get from doing time tracking. You can do this much more frequently in the beginning, perhaps every couple of days or once a week, and then you can shift into monthly or quarterly assessments for making sort of smaller pivots to your schedule and to your time management. There is no point in doing time tracking, or anything else in your business for that matter, if you're not going to actually make use of this information. Hit that like button if you agree. My favorite method for time tracking is Toggl. It is a free software and you can use it on desktop or app. Personally, I like using it on desktop, but some of my clients really love the app. They find that it makes it so much easier for them to keep using it. So it really works depending on your preference. Toggl is very robust. There is so much that you can do with it, but what I want to show you today is a very small part of how I use it in my solopreneur business, and specifically how you can ensure that it works well for your solopreneur business. Because again, you can find different tutorials and things like that all over the internet, but you can't get these specific solopreneur time tracking methods anywhere else. These are 5 best practices for using Toggl as your time tracking software, specifically as a solopreneur. The 2 areas of Toggl that I want to draw your attention to right now are clients and projects. So when you are setting up your Toggl software, your whole system, organizing it, you'll want to organize it with your clients and your projects. Now, I recommend that you use your clients section for your actual clients that you work with. So absolutely do that, but also to create separate clients for each of the main departments within your business. The way that I teach the solopreneur business model, especially in my Productivity Powerhouse e-course, is through doing departments within your solopreneur business and subdivisions. And so clients you can have as your departments within your business. And then projects are going to be the actual projects for each client. So the different projects that might be under the umbrella of the same client. For example, if you are a freelance editor and you have a particular author who has come back to you multiple times to edit various books, then each book might be a different project that you would have under the umbrella of that one client. That is one way to do your projects. And then the other aspect of it is to also have projects for each subdivision within your business departments. And again, there's so much more about the departments and subdivisions inside Productivity Powerhouse. We get into exactly how to figure out what your core departments are and how to figure out what those subdivisions are. And so I would recommend checking out saganmorrow.com/powerhouse so that you can get everything you need about your business structure blueprint and how to navigate this as a solopreneur. But this is the important thing for our purposes here today with Toggl, is that you will want to include actual clients that you work with, and main departments within your business for the clients when you're organizing Toggl, and the projects that you're doing for each client, as well as subdivisions within your business departments as the projects in Toggl. My second tip here for you is to organize your departments by numbered codes in Toggl. So that way they'll show up in the very specific order that you want. And you can see here on this slide that I have under Creative Department, one of the projects, subdivisions, I've got as general e-course content planning and ideas. I have productivity powerhouse. I've got general book planning ideas, all of these different types of things, okay? So you can see how the different projects kind of work under the departments that I have. You can also see that they are differentiated by numbered codes. So we have the letters to start with, right? CD for Creative Department, and then the series of numbers. And that's a really good way to keep track of them. I would recommend creating a legend for yourself to keep this organized, perhaps in a spreadsheet or a Google Doc, whatever sort of feels good for you. In Productivity Powerhouse, I explain how I create a documentation manual for my business. That would be a great place for it. And you can also see here that these codes can be broken down even further. So we have CDC 001 for Creative Department courses. Okay, so then we have the general courses are 001, whereas Productivity Powerhouse is 002. And then we have Creative Department books, the books that I write, that's CDB 001. So in that case, we kind of break it down a little bit further. So if there are particular subdivisions that you have, and then quite a number of larger projects within a particular subdivision, that's a really good way to kind of break it down. You can break it down even further into additional subcategories in the future. So for example, you can see here that we have GD005A for Instagram social media marketing and GD005B as Instagram stories social media marketing, GD005C as Twitter. So if you want to really break it down into very specific things, that is another way to navigate that. Let me know in the comments if this is all coming together for you and if this is helpful. Best practice for using Toggl number 3 is to use color coding to differentiate between types of tasks within a department. This is going to be especially important if you have a lot of different projects within a given department. As you can see here, I have slightly different greens within the growth department for the blogging, and then for social media has a different color green. Likewise, on this slide, you can see that the operations department is this sort of orange color. The creative department is various shades of blue and purple, which also changes depending on the subdivisions that are used there. So the color coding helps you to sort of see at a glance really easily where things are. So you can see how the numbered codes and the letters, as well as the color coding, just makes your life so much easier, especially as you're adding more and more to your business and as you're getting much more specific about the different types of things that you are working on. My fourth tip for you when you are using Toggl is to press the play button to start the clock when you start anything. So even at the start of your day, when you are sitting down at your computer, if you aren't quite sure what exactly you're going to focus on, press the play button to start the clock. You can fill in the description and the client and project after the fact. This is really useful if you don't know how to describe what you are doing in a given moment, or if you tend to jump between different tasks. So sometimes you might be in a position where you know roughly what you're going to do. You know what department you'll be working in or what project you'll be working on, but you're not sure exactly the specifics of writing your description of what you are doing. That's okay. Just press the button, start working, and then when you are done working, you can fill in that description. This is also very important to do if you are the type of person who jumps around between tasks. So definitely make sure that you are pressing pause when you need to, and then play to start a new task. Sometimes my day might be all over the place. I might work for really large chunks of time and on one particular project, and other days I might work for 15 minutes on one thing, 20 minutes on another. So this is very useful to be able to just press that play button, start working, fill in the description when you're done that task, and then flip over to the next task if that's where your brain is at. And number 5, add a time tracking review and assessment into your monthly or quarterly business audits. This way you can assess the hours that you've worked, what adjustments you want to make to your schedule and your calendar, all of that type of thing. So again, you always want to make sure that you are using your time, you're using the information that you are getting from all of that time tracking and applying it to your business. And again, this is something that we do more on inside Productivity Powerhouse, which you can visit at saganmorrow.com/powerhouse to get access to everything that you need to know about doing business audits, doing time tracking, using the information that you learned from time tracking, energy management when it comes to managing your time as well, all of these different components. And once again, Toggl has really wonderful different ways of showing you where your time is going. So you can look at it as this detailed weekly at a glance sort of overview. You can look at it as a list view. You can look at it as a month view. There are many different options and different ways of viewing the information. There are bar graphs that you can see how much time you are working every single month for the past year. So all of that is very good to take into consideration when you are doing this review and assessment of your time. When you are starting out with using Toggl, when you are just starting out with time tracking, it can sometimes take a little while to get used to it and to get into the habit of doing it. It can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge to remember. And I would encourage you, again, to be kind to yourself. Don't judge yourself. If you forget to do it, you can always add it in after the fact. Keep it open. I would recommend on a tab on your browser at all times so that you can see it right there so that it is noticeable to you, that it is visible to you. That can be a really good way to do it. But it's one of those muscles that you'll just want to flex and a habit that you'll want to work on getting into doing on a routine basis. So you don't even necessarily need to be quite so detailed with where exactly your time is going in the beginning. First of all, just get into the habit of pressing that play button, focusing more on the much bigger projects. And then over time, when it becomes this very ingrained habit, this just automatic reaction to press that play button and to track your time, then you can start adding in a lot more of the detailed types of things such as Instagram stories versus Instagram feed, rather than simply a broad social media, for example. So don't be too hard on yourself. We want to work this in as a habit, and we really want to, again, be able to use this information to understand where your time is going so that you can improve on your time management skills within the next week and on an ongoing basis well into the future. In this YouTube playlist, we have talked about the importance of time and energy management when you're an overworked solopreneur, how to know whether your issue is one of time management versus energy management, and what to do in either case. Plus, now we have also explored best practices for using time tracking as a solopreneur. But you might also be in a situation where your current time management strategies simply aren't working the way that you want. That can be really frustrating. You might still feel like there's something off with your time management. You are not where you want to be. You really want to be a lot better at time management. And maybe you have tried different time management tactics before, different techniques. None of it seems to quite be sticking for you. Does that sound like you? If that sounds familiar, then you will definitely want to stay tuned for our next video in this series, which is on that exact topic. We will address the top mistakes that you are making with your time management so that you can fix them once and for all.